Hello, fair folk. It is Lainey, and I am going to share some of my absolute favorite books today, and kind of go over why they're my favorite books. Kind of like a books to get to know me, if that makes sense to you. I'm also kind of excluding some of my favorite books because there are books that I did absolutely love that are on my shelves right now that are not in this stack that I'm going to go through. And that is solely because these books just feel like me. They speak to my soul in a way that others don't. And again, like I said, there are some up here that I am excluding because I can only pick so many books. So I might have like a honorable mentions at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and apologize for how long this video is going to be. I promise I will have some shorter ones in the future, but this one will probably be a little bit long, so sorry. And to talk about my reading taste, I very much like fantasy, whimsical. I read a little bit of sci-fi, and then I also like creepy. And when I say I like horror, people think I like scary, but I like creepy. You will also see a theme of doors. I really enjoy doors to other worlds, magical worlds, places that just aren't Earth. Doors to places that don't exist, to my knowing. So, anywho, I'm just gonna jump right in. Oh, and disclaimer, I am very, very bad about describing books, and a lot of these books, I feel like the less you know, the better it is. And so I'm so sorry if I give horrible descriptions of what these books are even about. But that's how I like to go into books. So anyways, we're going to start off with my all-time favorite book. Favorite all-time of all book is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. This is whimsical. It has doors to other places. It is a story about stories, and this one makes me cry a lot. A lot of these books make me cry. If there was one book that I got to choose to jump into, it's gonna be this one. It's gonna be The Starless Sea. And this story is about a man named Zachary Ezra Rollins, and he is in college. He finds a book written about himself. So he kind of goes on a adventure to figure out who wrote this book about his life. And that's what I'm going to say about this, The Starless Sea. It is beautiful. It is sad. It is happy at the same time. A lot of people say this is boring. But I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I have reread it. It is one that I will probably reread every year when I feel down, and it's just so beautiful. A story about stories, magic doors, all the fairy tales. It's just wonderful. Go pick this up, and if you hate it, I don't want to say we can't be friends, but this book has my soul, my heart, my everything is this book. I have I think this is the Waterstones edition, with the sprayed edges, I guess. This is my prized book in my collection. It is so beautiful. So I have this one that kind of stays on the shelf. I do flip through it and fondle it occasionally, but this one is my going around edition. It is also very beautiful. So I do try to be as careful with it as I can. I have also kind of decided that I want to annotate this, and I think I might annotate this edition. Who knows? I don't do a whole lot of annotating, so that might never happen. Oh, and side note, queer. Next, we have Gideon the Ninth. The whole Locked Tomb series, if I say so myself, is just chef's kiss, okay? 1, queer. This is described as lesbian necromancers in space. And I think that's all you really need to know about this one. It's very heavy on science lingo. Honestly, I was very confused in this first one. I've reread it, I've looked at notes, and to help me understand this book, because I just thought I was stupid, which that could still be the case. But in here they like to go by their first names, and then sometimes they go by their last names. So that was one reason I was very confused, just as a warning going into it. A second reason is because they talk about like their, it's not really a magic system, but like their necromancy and how that works. And it's very like makes you feel like you're in chemistry class almost, I think. To me, at least, that's how I felt. But it was still wonderful. Gideon makes this whole book. Gideon makes this whole book. I love her, okay? Love Gideon. She is my baby, my everything, okay? So we're just going to go through the whole series because once you read this one, you have to read them all. Harrow will also make you very confused, but in a did I lose my mind type of way. This was just confusing because I think I'm just confused. This one is meant to be confusing. This one is meant to be confusing, and I loved every second of it. Every confusing second was wonderful. And then Nona is probably my favorite out of the 3 so far. It is not the end. The next one is Alecto the Ninth, and don't believe it comes out until 2025. So sad days for me. But anyways, Nona the Ninth makes you fall in love. You fall in love in this one, you get confused in this one, and then you fall in love all over again. And when I say lesbian necromancers, there's not a whole lot of romance in the Locked Tomb series. And if you wanted something with heavy romance, this isn't it. I'm not the biggest fan of heavy romances. Kudos to the people who love romance. I'm not hating on romance at all. It's just I don't think you'll see a lot on this page, if any. Which this has a little bit, but really not really. There is some romance in the Starless Sea, but it's not the main focus of the story, if that makes sense. Then we have Middle Game by Sheena McGuire. Sheena McGuire has become one of my favorite authors. Everything I read by her, I absolutely love. This is about a pair of twins, Roger and Dodger, and they do not know that they're twins. And it follows Roger and Dodger through very early in life, like little kid, like less than 10 years old, I believe, and into their college years. This is more on the sci-fi side to me than fantasy, which it's still fantasy, don't get me wrong, but I feel like it feels more like a sci-fi, if that makes sense. But these two twins in here, Roger and Dodger, they can communicate between themselves, and it kind of just follows these two twins through their life, and they kind of find out how they came to be twins and what their purpose is. And there's an alchemist named Reed who is kind of observing the twins from afar and keeping an eye on them. It shows a dynamic between brother and sister that I don't see very often in books. Very caring, very loving, and I feel like most sibling relationships I see in books are not the best, and maybe it's just the books that I'm reading, I'm not sure, but the books that I have read usually do not show brothers and sisters loving like they love in here. And I just thought it was really sweet because they have a great relationship and it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. That's all. So, then we have Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. Is that how you say her name? Yeah. This is a trilogy. There are 3 books. And if you don't know what Howl's Moving Castle is about, it is about a girl who gets cursed and finds a wizard to help her lift her curse. If you haven't seen the movie, I highly recommend going and watching the movie. I don't think it would hurt to watch it before or after reading the book. Vice versa, I think the movie is a great depiction of the book. Obviously, they leave some things out in the movie that are in the book, just like most book-to-movie adaptations. So keep that in mind. But this one also has doors to magical places. Very whimsical, very happy, heartwarming, cozy. The book is a little bit more dark than the movie, but they're both wonderful. And yeah, absolutely love. Next up is Vita Nostra. And I am going to butcher this name. It's Marina and Sergi. I'm really sorry. I don't know how to say that. I should have looked it up. Vita Nostra was kind of strange, but in a really good way. I don't know how else to explain that. But it is basically about a girl who's on vacation, and a strange, creepy man walks up to her and pretty much gives her a task. He gives her a few tasks. These tasks, if she finishes them, she gets to go to a school. And I don't want to say magic school, but it's kind of like a magic school. Or maybe more like... I don't like using the word magic for Vita Nostra. I don't know how else to explain it. It kind of gives the same feels as Middle Game. Vita Nostra feels more science-y than fantasy. Again, don't know how to explain that. That's just how it feels to me. More science-y than fantasy. More on the sci-fi side than the fantasy side. But y'all might read this and be like, no, Lainey, that's definitely fantasy. And I'm just dumb, and that's okay. So, anyways, the school is very strange. And she doesn't know what's going on. And that's all I'm going to say about this one. Strange school. Loved Vita Nostra. Yeah, I have heard that it has a sequel, but I've heard that the sequel kind of sucks. So I haven't read the sequel because I'm scared it's going to suck. So I think I'm just not going to and just live happily with just Vita Nostra. Next is The Last Tale of the Flower Bride by Roshani Chokshi. Roshani Chokshi. I'm so sorry if I butchered that. This one had me crying for days. This is about a girl named Indigo. Or I should say a woman. A woman named Indigo. Her and I think they're fiancés. Her and her fiancé get called away to her childhood home. And once they get to her childhood home, there are some secrets of Indigo's that come about. But this one, I would like to classify as sapphic. I don't know if most people would consider this sapphic, but I'm going to consider this sapphic. This is about a relationship between 2 girls in school. Like middle school, high school years. And the girlies who've had a relationship like this with their best friend get me, and I get you, and you'll get this. You will understand this. And if you get this, you get me. this crying in tears. Like, I almost want to bump this one up close to the Starless Sea as in rank, but it's just so hard. It's with like the other books. So that's why it is where it is, but it's still, I think I will be rereading this one quite often, because it broke my heart and hit home for a lot of reasons. So yeah, this one is also very whimsical and magical feeling and very fairy tale-esque. Is that even a word? Fairy tale-esque. Feels like a fairy tale. But yeah. And if you like The Last Tale of the Flower Bride, but want something darker and weirder, Jawbone. Jawbone by Monica Ojeda has the same themes as Last Tale of the Flower Bride, as in a relationship between two girls in high school who are best friends. These both have obsessive, really close friendships between girls. And this one is more fantasy and whimsical and magical and also a little dark. But this one is really dark. This one is, I would consider in the horror genre, but it is so great and hit me in the feels just like The Last Tale of the Flower Bride. So if you aren't into the whimsy and fantastical, Jawbone is really messed up, but still so wonderful. This one, I would definitely read the trigger warnings before getting into it. And that's all I'm going to say about this one. But this one and Last Tale of the Flower Bride are like messed up sisters. Like the books are messed up sisters. Then we have Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. This one, I would also jump into this book, I think. This is about a man named Piranesi who lives in a giant house, I guess, or mansion, if you will. It's so big that he's never been outside of it. And it rains inside of the house, and it's more like big hallways, like big hallways full of statues and columns, and not like a regular house. It's like a museum almost, I guess. And it's, like I said, full of statues and columns, and it rains sometimes, and he is just living his life in this giant house, and he keeps journals. And he doesn't know how he got there, and he's the only person there, and it's just about Piranesi trying to figure out what he's doing there and where this house is and how he's inside of it and how he can maybe get out. And he explores it, and he's explored so much of it that he has yet to find an exit. Can be confusing at times, but definitely worth it to me. Then we have Linghoon by Ai Jiang. Again, I really hope I said that right. And this one is in the horror genre. It is about a family who lost their son, and they have found a neighborhood that you can move into. And when you move into this neighborhood, you get to see the ghost of your loved ones. They kind of come back, and you get to spend a little bit more time with them. Well, to get into this neighborhood, there's a long waiting list, and they have auctions for the houses, but you have to be there 24/7 to potentially even get into one of these homes. So there are people who live in the homes, and then there are people who live on the yards of the homes. And the people who live in the yard, they just sit in the yard and wait, pretty much. While they're waiting, there are people inside of these homes, getting more time with their loved ones' ghosts. This one really spoke to me because it shows what people are willing to do if to just have a little bit more time with people that they lost. I think if this was a real thing, people would definitely be doing this. And it's sad because we spend so much time thinking of what ifs and buts and ands about these people who have passed when we're still living, and these people in here, it is so hard for them to move on and live their life. And they do some horrendous, some horrible things. They do some horrible things in here. And like I said, if this was real life, I would really see people doing this. And it's just really great. It's really great. Go give it a read. Even if you don't like the horror genre, it's not scary, but it's scary in a sense of we forget that we're still living sometimes and that we have whole lives to live. So, yeah. Next up is some more Sheena McGuire. This one is Every Heart a Doorway. The whole Wayward Children series has my heart. Again, doors to magical places. This is about children who walk through a door and find themselves in a different world. And these worlds don't keep them forever. They spit them back out, and these children do not know what to do with their lives because they've been in this magical world where things just started to make sense, and then they get kicked back into Earth. And they have to figure out how to cope with that. And there's a woman who has made a school for these wayward children, and it is about all the children in this school. And these are really short books, but there's like 8 or 9 so far, and they're not done. But like, again, they're really short. I think out of all 8 or 9 that I've read, there has only been one that I didn't really enjoy. It wasn't bad or anything. It just wasn't for me, I don't think. But all of the other ones have my heart. Every single one of these makes me cry, makes me feel happy, makes me feel sad, makes me wish I could find a door to a different world. And Sheena McGuire, she gets me, or maybe I get her, I don't know. But Wayward Children series has my whole heart. Okay, now we're getting into my Neil Gaiman books that I absolutely love. And we're going to start off with Coraline. Absolutely love Coraline. The movie is spectacular. If you haven't seen the movie, go watch the movie. The book is darker than the movie. The movie, I think, remembers that this is a children's story. The book is creepy and very, like, really creepy sometimes. Okay, just super creepy. But this is about a girl and her family who move into a house. And Coraline, our main character, she finds a door to, again, more doors. She finds a door to an alternate reality, sort of. It's her house, but everything's kind of backwards. And her mother is there and her father is there, but they're different. It seems like everything in this other world is perfect, but Coraline soon finds out that it's not. I absolutely love this movie and this book. I think if you watch one first and then read the book, that's fine. Or you can read the book first and then watch the movie. I think either way is fine. But the movie is a movie that I've seen probably over 20 times. So, yeah. Anyways. Then we have Stardust by Neil Gaiman. This one is also a movie. The movie was okay. I liked the book a lot more. But this is about a boy who lives in a town where they're not allowed to cross a wall. But when he sees a shooting star fall, he decides to go find the shooting star and see where it landed. And he ventures over the wall, which is, like, forbidden. And he goes on a little adventure. And this one was just whimsical, magical, fun, and it's one that I love to come back to. Then we have The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman, and this one makes me sob every time I think about it, I read it. I have annotated this one, not a whole lot. It's literally got like only 3 little bookmarks in there, and I don't know how old they even are. But The Ocean at the End of the Lane is about a middle-aged man who is going to a funeral in his hometown, and he visits an old friend's house, if I'm remembering right. I can't remember if he actually goes to their house or not. But after this funeral, he goes and he sits down and he starts remembering his childhood there on that lane. And he remembers his neighbors who took him in, and this is sad and whimsical and beautiful, and it makes you feel so sad that you can't go back and be a kid again. Even though being a kid really sucked sometimes, he had really good memories as a kid, and it's just heartbreaking. And I'm gonna stop talking about it, or else I'm gonna cry. So go read The Ocean at the End of the Lane. It is also a play, and I want to go to the UK literally just to see this play. So next we have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. This is the only Shirley Jackson novel I've read. I need to read more, I know, but loved this one. Merricat, loved her. Her sister, loved her. Everyone deserves Merricat's sister. What's her name? Constance. Everybody deserves a sister like Constance, okay? Everybody. And I thought this was like a ghost story when I first picked it up. And I guess you could kind of consider it a ghost story, but it's not like typical ghost story. But anyways, this is about Merricat and her sister Constance, who live in this house. They live in their house with, I think, their uncle. Is their uncle? Yeah, I think they live with their uncle. It's just her and her sister and their uncle, I believe. Sorry, my memory sucks sometimes. But anyways, it's about these two sisters living in this house, and the town that their house is in, everybody else in this town does not like them because they believe that a murder happened in this house. This is about the two sisters just living their lives in this town where nobody really wants them there and pretty much despises them. Absolutely loved every second of this. Loved the sister dynamic in here. Like I said, everybody needs a sister like Constance. And yeah, I really should pick up more Shirley Jackson. Next, we have A Psalm for the Wild-Built and A Prayer for the Crown-Shy by Becky Chambers. These will also make you cry. Short, does not take long to read these at all. Very heartfelt, very happy. I say happy. I think happy, kind of. Sad and happy at the same time. Anyways, this is about a tea monk. I think their name is Dex. Yeah, their name is Dex. So Dex is a tea monk, and they are trying to just find their way in life. They venture out into the woods, and they meet a robot. And the robot has a question: what do humans need? Dex and this robot kind of go on a little adventure to figure out what humans need. And it is just very heartfelt and cozy and makes you feel okay to not have a purpose in life. I really love that. Just feel good all around. And queer. Then we have The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. Queer. Okay? People like to say it's not queer, but it's queer. And there is an edited edition that cuts out the queerness. And then there's an unedited edition. I can't remember if this edition by Litjoy Crate is like the unedited or not. I can't remember. But if you don't know what The Picture of Dorian Gray is, it is about Dorian Gray. And he has a portrait made of himself. And what ends up happening is the portrait ages, but he does not. it is just about our dramatic little Dorian here coping with the fact that he no longer ages, and fact that his painting shows kind of all of his wrongdoings, I guess, and his age and how beautiful he really isn't. I think this is like one of the first classics I ever read, and I haven't read a whole lot, so, but this one's great, and I love this edition. It's got some moths. Love some moths. It's got a little ribbon bookmark. It's just beautiful all around. Then we have A Dowry of Blood, queer. This is by, I think, S.T. Gibson. Is that who this is by? Yeah, S.T. Gibson. It's really small up there. This one, it doesn't specifically say it's about Dracula's brides, but I think it's supposed to be about Dracula's brides. They don't ever mention Dracula in here, but I'm pretty sure that was the intention, is for it to be about Dracula's brides. So yeah, queer, vampires, beautiful. Then I have How to See Fairies by C. Van Sandwyck. I hope I said that right. This is a folio edition. I really love fairies, and so I had to have this one. It's like a children's book. What is that? Oh, I'm just gonna stick that back in there. It's literally a children's book on how to see fairies. That's it. That's the whole book. But it's an all-time favorite. Next are some of my favorite graphic novels. First off, we have Snot Girl. I love Snot Girl. Snot Girl is me. I am Snot Girl. We're both snotty little girls. Okay? Queer. Snot Girl. She's like a social media influencer. I think this is a psychological thriller. I think. Yes. I'm gonna stick with that. Love Snot Girl. Then we have Paper Girls. Is this the first one? Yeah. Then we have Paper Girls. This is sci-fi, queer, and time traveling. Then we have Saga. Oh, I didn't say who any of these were by. Are these all by? Okay, hold on, JK. Snot Girls by Brian Lee O'Malley and Leslie Hung. Then Paper Girls. Who's Paper Girls even by? Brian K. Vaughan. And Brian K. Vaughan for Saga. Anyways, Saga is sci-fi. Are there queer stories in here? It's been so long since I've read through Saga. I think there are queer stories in here. I could be so wrong. I do not remember, honestly, and I should have looked that up before I did this. I don't know. It's very adult and has graphic images in this one, just to let you know. Like, she's breastfeeding on the front of this. So, graphic. But I love this one. Yeah. So, those are all the ones that I picked out. But I am going to do some honorable mentions. Nevernight by Jay Kristoff. Absolutely love. It's about a girl whose family gets murdered and she becomes an assassin to avenge her family. Love this series. We have some Shadowhunter, Cassandra Clare. I read the Mortal Instruments in middle school and then reread them my freshman year of college and still absolutely loved them. And recently just read the Infernal Devices and absolutely loved it. So middle school lady's heart just like screams every time I pick up one of these, okay? So we can't forget the Shadowhunter books, okay? The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. Oh, I made my sister read this one, and when I was sobbing at the end, she thought I was just like being dramatic, and then she called me and was also sobbing, and she she was like, I see. Song of Achilles. Queer. Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. Love this one. I always love, like, anytime I think that I've outgrown this and I like pick this up, I'm like, no, I haven't. I still love this story so much. Like, I haven't done a reread, but I kind of want to soon. But this one just I don't know. It's got me. And then All Systems Red, the Murderbot series. I haven't read all of these. I think I'm like up to 4, but I'm really enjoying these. It's about a robot who becomes, what's the word? Where they're like aware. They're aware. Is that the word? I don't know. But it's about a robot who becomes like aware of himself, and he doesn't want to get like reported and fixed. So he just starts kind of like still doing his job, but he has like inner thoughts and like a thought process. And it's just really sweet. But also, as the name implies, it's kind of murdery. So yeah. And then we've got Babel. I'm sorry, my honorable mentions is so long, but we've got Babel by R.F. Kuang. And I also loved The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I have yet to read the other 2 in the Poppy War series because I'm bad about finishing things. So yeah, but both of these R.F. Kuang books are wonderful. Quick, so I'm not talking forever. Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, love. Vicious by V.E. Schwab, love. A Darker Shade of Magic, love. The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, love. Then just anything by Ellen Hopkins, love. These were middle school Lainey's everything. It's probably been since middle school since I've read these, so like 2010, 2009 since I've picked these up. I just dropped one. Yeah. So Ellen Hopkins. And I think that's it. That's where I'm going to end this. My books are a mess now. I guess I'm going to go clean my bookshelves, or the reading room. So thank you for watching. These are most of my favorite books. Bye! 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 I'm thirsty. Bye!